about choices, no doubt.
Choices.
Looking at your life from the inside.
That's right.
Life's about choices, no doubt. You're looking at your life from the inside. Life's about choices, no doubt.
Speak on it.
Looking at your life from the inside. Life's about choices, no doubt.
West side.
Looking at your life from the inside. Looking out.
Family, it's your boy, Lamonte Comes, with You Versus Yourself podcast, where the truth and you collide. If you like my content, please like and subscribe to my channel. And remember, I'm still in the building. Family, it's your boy, Lamonte Comes, with episode 4 of You Versus Yourself podcast, where the truth and you collide. Listen, today's topic is about domestic violence in the church. Believe it or not, this goes on in the church more than you know. I want to preface this by saying, I'm not saying every preacher, every pastor, every member in the church is abusive. I'm not saying they're physically abusive. I'm not saying they're emotionally abusive. But what I am saying that it does exist, and I've experienced it myself. I remember when I was a young minister in the church, there was a lot that I didn't understand. And one of the mistakes I made is about putting preachers, pastors, bishops, those people on a pedestal. Why do I say that? It's because when you look at it at the end of the day, all men and all women, we are flawed. We have issues. We suffer from trauma. We have traumatic experiences. We have things that we have never dealt with. And so therefore we just go on about our lives with the trauma that exists within us. And unfortunately, that trauma plays out in our lives with other people and how we govern our relationships with friends, with intimate partners. All of those things, folks, it matters as we talk about domestic violence in the church. I remember one day I went to a friend of mine's house, one of the ministers in the church, and I won't say any names. And I remember him having a conversation, I shouldn't even call it a conversation, with his wife. And the way that he was talking to her kind of threw me off. When you put people on a pedestal, you don't expect them to look different, or at least I didn't in the church. In the church, and when they get home, I'm thinking that should be the same person. This person was very disrespectful, very rude to his spouse. Now, I didn't correlate the two as far as being domestic violence, but I did see that there were some anger issues there. And I didn't have a whole lot of judgment of that individual, as I too have experienced anger issues in my past. But what shocked me the most is it was so belligerent. It was so as a matter of fact. And so it threw me for a loop. And as I begin to understand and get more involved in the church and climb different ladders and attend a different church as an elder, I saw it again in another pastor that was abusive. At this point in time, I didn't know the extent of it. But later on, I found out very abusive, disrespectful, using power and control to get his way. And this one, I started understanding this domestic dynamic in the church. Why don't we want to talk about it? And do we want to talk about it? What's the problem? Right? Are we going to deal with this situation? Why we rarely ever hear it? I don't believe many of us want to talk about this subject. They said, and I'm talking about the church, the institution itself, that the church is for sick people. It's interesting that the doctors, which I am calling the pastors or bishops in the church, and some ministers, were sick as well. Now, Doing this podcast, I don't say these things, ladies and gentlemen, say, oh, I'm judging them and I'm putting them down. No, what I'm offering is tools. I'm offering solutions so we can heal. But we have to be able to expose that behavior in the church. Now, I do understand something. If a preacher, and let me challenge you as my audience, if a preacher gets up and say, you know what, I got some anger issues and I've been disrespectful to my spouse, whether male or female, and I need some help in that area. What do you, as a layperson or the person in the audience, in the pews, how do you handle that? Can that preacher be his or her authentic self? Can they tell you that, hey, I got a problem and I would like to address this? Or will you immediately persecute them? Well, what is he doing being a preacher if he got these issues? What is she doing preaching if she got these issues? What are you doing in the pews if you got these issues? They're in the right place. The hospital, the church for sick people, we're in the right place. The question is, do I have the right doctors? Are they offering me the right medicine? Am I getting the assistance and help that I need? There are some angry preachers out there. And if you're watching this podcast, I am definitely talking to you. Again, not in a form of judgment, in a form of assessing the situation that needs attention and quick clinical and medical attention. We can no longer not be our authentic selves. We can no longer be a pretender, like everything is okay. We have to say, audience or people in the pews, that it's okay to the members. It's okay that that preacher has issues. Let's get him or her some help. The other thing when we're talking about domestic violence, everybody cannot counsel when it comes to these types of issues. They should go to a professional who deals with anger management or domestic violence or trauma, grief, and different trauma issues. Send them to the appropriate professionals for that. Just because you was called by God to preach does not mean you can counsel everybody in the congregation, because we have different issues. And it has to start with us. I know of a situation I saw on Channel 5. It was a shooting in San Bernardino. I saw it on Fox 5. This individual, this pastor, killed his new wife and killed a child in the process over accusing his wife at the time of cheating. Angry. Then when the report comes out, he has had prior domestic violence. Preachers, pastors, bishops, evangelists, we're human. It's time to get help. It is time to heal. I do not understand how we heal a people if we don't have the power within us because of our own flaws, our own issues. We have to find a place to heal. We have to be transparent. I will always say you cannot fix what you don't acknowledge. First ladies in the church suffering in silence, trying to send a message that the man or the woman that they're with is using power and control tactics. Is threatening me at home, is beating me at home, literally beating me at home, comparing me to other people in the church. We have to begin to pay attention to that. We have to begin to get individuals help. pastor, preacher, minister, bishop, if you know you have these issues, this is the time to go get help. I'm not suggesting that you got to go tell the whole world, but I am suggesting that you have to go to someone with the expertise in his field so you can figure out how you got here. If love is kind, if love is patient, love show is not abusive. Love is not yelling at your partner. And again, I've been there myself. Not necessarily physically, but had these anger issues in my past as a young minister in the church back in the day. Didn't have the coping skills, didn't know how to cope with triggers. But at some point, I had to go get help and be honest with myself. I wrote a book called Unveiling the Mask of the Pretender. I was 26 years old at the time because I wanted to expose that behavior. I was crying out. I was reaching out because that trauma expresses itself. And typically it's negative behavior. Pastor, today you can heal. If you truly are genuine and authentic, I would say go get help today. We know that abuse and hitting our spouses and cursing them out and forcing them to do things that they don't want to is not in alignment with our belief system in the Bible or the Quran or any other form of books out there that talks about God is love and God is peace. We're not in alignment with that. So at some point, pastors, preachers, you got to make a decision. Do you believe hitting your wife or your husband is appropriate? Do you believe forcing her or him to do things is in alignment? Our communication matters. As opposed to saying you should, how about is this a good time? Can we have a discussion? Can we talk about it? Very important. So look, this is episode 4. I want to just talk about this a little bit as a domestic violence professional. And I wanted to bring this to our attention that domestic violence is happening in the church. I want to tell you that it happens in the pews. I've had people show up in my office. And it's not just the church. Law enforcement officers beating your wives. Firefighters beating your wives. These people are supposed to be protecting us, and we're the perpetrators. Implementing the law, but we're breaking the law. Again, this is not a judgment in a sense of putting people down. Hopefully, it's a wake-up call to say, hey, I need to get help in this area. I know what I'm doing to my spouse is not right. And I need to change my behavior. So I'm giving you that opportunity today. Say, listen, I want to change. If you call me at Anger Management 702 at 467-0167, 702-467-0167, I'll lead you to the right people, even if it's not with me. I got one goal with Anger Management 702, and that's for you to become the best version of yourself. You want to be that best man, you want to be that preacher, then be that preacher and be authentic, and let's operate and function in love. That's my tip today, and please like, share the episode to anyone who is willing to hear it. I am Lamonte Comes, and remember, being calm is cool.